All right, everyone, it looks like the meme war is back on. We start off today with a Truth Social post from Trump that's gone very viral for a reason. Link in the description. I'm not going to archive it. You can read it for yourself. Now, the first part I probably can't even read out on a YouTube video because it mentions election integrity, and we all know that they're sticklers about that and looking for an excuse to try to ban anyone with intelligent commentary anyway. But the last part is the part that's funny. Our so-called leader, this is Trump talking about Biden, does nothing except eat, sleep, and shit. Where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio? And naturally, people are replicating that all over the place. It makes sense for him to meme it up. This is sort of why he became popular in the first place. I like it. I really do feel a little bit of the spirit of 2016 seeping back into the political discourse in the country. All that remains now, and I guess Trump is back on Facebook for what very little it's worth, he needs to get back on Twitter. Now, he needs to start using YouTube as well. Get back on these various services and put himself out there. The problem right now is that when Donald Trump makes a Truth Social post, what he relies upon is some of his fans who are on Truth Social to immediately replicate that on other platforms. Now, that's still to a huge audience of people. We're talking tens of millions of them. The problem is that is slower than simply putting out the primary source on the platform itself to begin with, undercutting the legacy media narrative. Because also you have leftoids that lurk on Truth Social, and they immediately replicate every post that Donald Trump makes as well, supplying their own analysis in the process. See, there's a screen between what Trump is saying and the average person who supports Trump at the moment. There's a screen there. Most of us aren't on Truth Social. Most of the people that are core Trump fans. He doesn't have to convince them of anything. And then the rest are leftoid lurkers that are looking for a scoop. So, the Krasensteins, they probably have Truth Social accounts because they want to immediately see what Trump says so that they can immediately replicate it. Within 5 minutes, they've got a reply set up because when you don't care about fact-checking and it's all very low info and so is your audience, you don't need to worry too much about the cohesion of what you're saying. So they can just, write up a little screed. And you'll notice that Ed and his brother, Brian, you'll notice that their posts are almost verbatim sometimes. Well, yeah, of course, it makes sense. It's almost funny. Do they have like a brotherly grudge match where they try to scoop one another and then rip one another off when they don't? I don't know what's happening with them. They keep getting fact-checked with community notes, which, by the way, is working well, but it is far too slow. I've raised this issue several times. You see, doing pretty well, actually, as a Janny on Twitter at the moment, making sure to shelf my own personal bias, making sure that things are actually noted when they need to be, not when they don't need to be, etc. I'm doing my best. It's quite a bit of effort, but it's amusing, and I do have the odd moment during the day when I'm not doing anything else. I spurg out, so I have to go from thing to thing all day. Editing, videos, editing, community notes, and take care of the child, cook a meal, at some point, occasionally shower. Usually less often than most people, by choice. That's why I have nice hair. Anyway, all Biden does is eat, sleep, and shit. I would agree with the sentiment. I mean, it's meme-worthy, but it's true also, isn't it? Can we please talk about the elephant in the room, which is that Biden is a de-energized old coot, number one, with dementia. And number two, he hasn't accomplished anything. Look at the laundry list of things he proclaims. Most of them, the only people that find them to be an accomplishment are people that already like that sort of ideological thing that Biden represents, which is neoliberalism. Leftists don't like it because he hasn't gone far enough. He hasn't delivered on student loans. He hasn't delivered on the evil machine gun, baby-killing assault pistols that fire 1,000 rounds per second of explosive chainsaw ammunition and shit like that. So they're not really on board. They tacitly support him to an extent. You look at the economy right now, it's teetering on the brink of recession. We're teetering on the brink of a banking collapse, not only just in the United States. Look at what just happened with Credit Suisse the other day. USB swooping in to try to grab them up. We'll be talking about that, I think, later. Name an accomplishment, and I'll show you something that, by and large, is only considered an accomplishment by a partisan core audience that, they're going to support him generally, at least, anyway. And all that you need right now is another gas price spike, or more shortages, or literally anything else under the sun, and all of a sudden a significant chunk of his support, which is soft, disappears. I analyzed his polling for 2 years now. I think Biden has a larger base of potential support than some people, but much of it is very soft support. It's basically fair-weathered friends, and a lot of them are leftists. And they're beginning to sour on him again because he can't push any agenda because of the composition of the House of Representatives. Yeah, it would be accurate to say that all he does is eat, sleep, and shit. This also applies to Kamala. When's the last time that the border czar visited the border? She went there for an hour for a photo op. She never saw a detention facility. She didn't tour the actual border itself. She didn't do anything. She talked to a couple of local officials, posed for a few pictures, and then left. Prior to that, the closest she came was being on the tarmac in El Paso briefly, in order to give a little stump speech before scooting her ass back into the plane and then departing back for D.C., where she can be away from those people. And among her friends and associates, sleazebag lawyers, career politicians, corrupt prosecutors. How many times has she had brunchin' with Alvin Bragg? Probably a lot. This, in fact, by extension, describes the entire administration. Look at Buttigieg. Oh, East Palestine rail fire, which, by the way, we're still getting updates on. Apparently, there might have been more vinyl chloride there than they originally let on, in addition to the other various chemicals that they originally did not disclose, that even the goddamn EPA had to admit were there. Whoops. That work ongoing. It took Buttigieg weeks to show up. The only reason he showed up is because Trump preempted him and Biden commanded him to go. He was in total damage control mode. That, by the way, might have been one of the few Biden decisions he made himself. He probably said, oh, come, enough of this malarkey, man. And he said, Buttigieg, come on, do me a solid. I know it's not going to look good for your political career, but hey, people are beginning to notice that there might be a major environmental disaster there, and your unwillingness to show up, and then when he does, he looks like the OSHA spokesperson, is not being helpful. Look at Blinken. When's the last time you heard about Blinken and what he was doing? Karine Jean-Pierre regularly squabbles with the press. She's supposed to give information out, pertinent info. More often than not, she ends up just verbally debating people or getting nasty. She somehow is worse than Jen Psaki. And Jen Psaki is the circle back around, White House press secretary. So name a person in the goddamn administration that's actually doing fundamentally their job. I can't think of one off the top of my head. And then you've got a bunch of people who are so absent you don't even know their names for the most part. I'm just talking about the ones that are actually evident enough so that they, for all intents and purposes, at least exist. Some members of the administration basically don't. You hear virtually nothing from them. I mean, even less than from like Kamala or Sleepy Joe himself. I think Trump is right. I think that this is very amusing, and also I wish that it were in tweet form. It would practically break the internet if he were to get on Twitter tomorrow and just say, like, make America great again. All of a sudden it would be front page news across the entire world. Maybe he's saving that happy power for closer to the general election. Or maybe he's waiting for DeSantis to potentially get in, so his first tweet will be about Ron DeSanctimonious or something like that. We'll see. I'm really hoping that happens, but I am feeling that energy a little bit again. It's exhilarating. It's fun. That's about all. Peace out.